Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. I'm live with Fabrizio Romano. How are you doing, Fabrizio?
All great, and congrats to Manchester United, my friend. Really happy for all the Manchester United fans here. Thank you for the invitation again.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there's a few sore heads for Manchester United fans today. I've certainly got one, but lots to get into on the show, Fabrizio. I want to talk about some transfer targets in and outs, but let's start off with what you know about what might be happening with the owner situation. You mentioned yesterday there that United won. Avram Glazer was there. Over the weekend, we've heard that the Glazers might not be looking to sell now or might be waiting to the summer, which will impact the transfers we'll talk about in a minute. But are you still expecting Manchester United to be sold, or do you think there might be some change there from the Glazers now?
I think this is absolutely part of the process to have this kind of stories of rumors around. As we always mention, they want around 6-7 billions to sell Manchester United, and the offers are not at that level yet from Sir Jim Ratcliffe and also from the Qatari group with Sheikh Al Thani. The proposals are still not at that level, and this is why I think we have this rumor. So I think the intention is to get that money. Otherwise, they're prepared to fight in the negotiations. So this is the current state of the story, but the discussions are still ongoing. The story is 100% open, and so I'm not here to say that everything is closed for Manchester United sale, but everything is absolutely on. The conversations are on. Of course, different kind of bids are needed to buy Manchester United. This is the reality now, but there is still enough time, and I think this is a crucial point, what you mentioned about the transfer market. For Man United as a club, for Erik ten Hag as a coach, and for all the people into the board, is absolutely crucial to get this deal done as soon as possible or before the summer, in any case, to make sure they can keep going with the process that is looking now very good under Erik ten Hag. And so this is a crucial point for all the parties involved. But for sure, what they want is 6-7 billions to sell Manchester United.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we know that those initial bids have gone in, and I suppose we're just worried about how long this will take now, because the longer it takes, like you say, it impacts on the summer plans. From a transfer point of view, Fabrizio, we know that other clubs, whether it's Real Madrid, Man City, Liverpool, they'll be making their summer plans because that's what big clubs do. They don't wait until the end of May to have a look. What's going on at Manchester United at the moment around their plans? Because if you've got the Glazers in charge, it's difficult to know what the budget would be. Are Manchester United out there looking at certain players, having chats with agents, or are they just at a standstill waiting for the Glazers to decide?
Now, honestly, to have this kind of process to sell the club is not helping, in a sense that, as you mentioned, they don't know about the budget. So, for example, I see a lot of rumors for strikers, as we always mention also here, but they don't know how much they can really spend on a center striker in the summer, maybe for the midfielder situation. So everything is slow because of this kind of process. Let's say they're still really early, February, March. So it's not now when you decide, okay, how much we are going to invest. But of course, they're thinking about players they appreciate. I think the big lack of Manchester United in any sense is Erik ten Hag, because everything will be on Erik ten Hag also in the summer. So whatever happens with the budget and the club sale, I'm sure that Erik ten Hag will be 100% involved in the whole process. And so to have a manager who has very clear ideas is crucial. Also, Manchester United scouting department is always in a direct contact with Erik ten Hag, and this is important, for example, to scan scouts around and make sure they follow players appreciated by the manager, and so they can arrive to the summer ready to invest on the right players at the right moment and not be in the same situation as last summer, when Erik ten Hag, of course, at this stage was not at Manchester United. And so we saw how confused was the situation, for example, at the beginning of August, before they decided to go for Casemiro and Antony. It was a very smart decision in a really difficult moment. So this is really important now, to make sure they find the right players, they follow the right players, they know what kind of players are appreciated by Erik ten Hag, and then they hope to have this budget clear as soon as possible, probably with new owners. But in any case, they need to know the budget to understand how much they will invest, first of all, on the new striker, and then also on the other positions.
Yeah, it's frustrating, because I think if you've got ten Hag winning trophies and the team's doing well, and he knows his budget, then you can just send people away to go and work on the summer. We spoke last year, didn't we, that we didn't know the manager, but we knew the budget, and they were speaking to people like a Kanji, but saying, we don't know whether whether the new manager want you. it seems like this summer, it's like we know the manager and he knows what he wants, but he doesn't know the budget. So we never quite get that perfect situation.
Yes. It's like this, but I think Man United are now, of course, in a different position because of the manager. The manager makes the difference. I think the whole world of football, the people into football industry, they feel that Manchester United are now in a completely different level thanks to Erik ten Hag's work. So all the agents, but also directly the players, they know very well what kind of work he's doing. Players speak to each other, and also Man United players are speaking very well of Erik ten Hag, of his ideas on the atmosphere into the club, and this is really positive. This is really helping, because 1 year ago was not like that. All the players, many players were scared about Manchester United situation because of the board, because of the manager. Now they have the manager. He's a fantastic coach. He's doing an excellent job, and this is really positive because for the club it's now going to be easier to work on new targets. I think the summer will be way easier than last summer that was really confused.
Easier if we have got the money to do it, I suppose. That's going to be the big thing. Let's talk about some players, because I know people in the chat are throwing names around. The one I wanted to ask you about was not because I think Manchester United will get him, but just what your thought process would be is if United could get involved, because we hear that in relation to Jude Bellingham, he would be a perfect player for many teams, that the conversations for Bellingham have been going on with clubs like Liverpool and Real Madrid, for example, for a while. Manchester United are going to find it very difficult to enter a race for Jude Bellingham when they don't know who the owner is, because he's going to cost over 120 million pounds. Do you think that sort of deal is probably off the table for Manchester United because they're not going to have an owner in place to do that?
I think today is something that they know they can't do at this stage with the Glazers and with the situation we also saw in November and December when they were speaking to the agents of Gakpo, but then they never made an official bid because there was no green light on the budget side, and so they decided to go for a cheap solution with Weghorst. So for Jude Bellingham in this moment for Man United is not a possibility because of the club situation, but it's still February, and so if in the next month or 2 months they will have new owners with a different budget, we have to keep it open. But at the moment, it's just something that we can discuss between us, but it's not a reality. So as of now, the 3 clubs leading the race for Jude Bellingham are Liverpool, and they're working on that deal since a long time with Jurgen Klopp involved, but also Manchester City are working on that. Real Madrid want a new midfielder, and Bellingham is top of their list. So these 3 clubs are working on Jude Bellingham deal. Really, it's months that they are discussing on this kind of situation. So it's not easy at all. But, when you have a new owner, maybe with different kind of budget, with maybe the intention to do a statement signing, this could change. But again, as of now, it's just not the reality. And we have to see what happens in case they will have new owners. That's it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if Man United had like Qatar in charge next week. I think suddenly you might think, oh, that Bellingham deal was possible. Another midfielder I was very impressed. I mean, he's a fantastic player anyway, but I thought he was Barcelona's best player for me at Old Trafford on Thursday night, even though Ten Hag said he got Fred to man mark him, was Frenkie de Jong. He's clearly a big option for Erik ten Hag. And I think we don't need to say that United would try and sign him if he was available. But what do you think? We don't really understand in the UK what the situation is with Barcelona and de Jong. Is he still a player that they would like to move on because of his wages? And we know he wants to stay, but we know that that's probably going to be another story in the summer for us again.
Yes, as of now, from Barcelona, the message is completely different than 1 year ago. 1 year ago, they were pretty open to let the player go, but was the player who wanted to stay at Barcelona because of personal reasons, because he loves the club, and so he decided to stay. Now, also on club side, they feel that Frenkie de Jong is a crucial player for them, also because Sergio Busquets is out of contract and he has not decided yet whether he wants to stay or maybe try a different kind of experience outside Spain. So he's also part of a domino of midfielders at Barcelona, but as of now in the club, they feel that Frenkie de Jong is a really important player for them. Xavi is also trusting de Jong as a starter in the starting 11 of their team. So at the moment, I don't see it as an easy deal. But again, it's still February, beginning of March. So it will probably take some time to understand what kind of plan Barcelona will have. And also Xavi, after the game with Manchester United, he mentioned about the summer transfer window. And he said, we have to wait and understand what happens with the financial fair play. This is a crucial part of the Barcelona story, to understand if they will need to make some money with players, so to sell some players in the summer, who could be these potential players. So I would keep everything open when it's about Barcelona, because we know how they can change their plans very fast on the transfer market. But at the same time, we have to mention that the situation has changed for Frenkie. At the moment, Frenkie is an important player for Xavi, and this was not the case 1 year ago. So not easy at all. But then, as you mentioned, for Ten Hag, he's a top target since day one. So he loves the player, and I'm sure if Frenkie will be available in the summer, if the situation will change for Barcelona, maybe on a financial fair play side, Man United will be there to try again, I'm sure.
I want to ask you about strikers, but just one player that people keep asking me about is Caicedo. Now, I don't know what's happening with him. He was very close to going to Arsenal. Do you think that will just happen in the summer, or do you think Caicedo will become an option for other clubs like Manchester United as well?
No, I'm told that it's open. Arsenal will be there for sure. Arsenal will be there again. I think from what I understand, the player knows very well that after what happened in the final days of January, the expectation is for the deal to happen in the summer, but he's not sure yet that it's going to be Arsenal. The player wants a big move, and he knows that in the summer it will be the case. So he's prepared to leave Brighton and try something different, but it's an open situation. So I would keep it open. We know that he's always been in Manchester United scouts list when he was in Ecuador, and also player really appreciated a few years later when he arrived at Brighton. So he's always been appreciated. I would keep it open for Caicedo, because I'm told that Arsenal will be there for sure, but it's not something decided, okay, it's going to be 100% Arsenal. So let's keep it open. But again, it's about the budget, and it's about how much Brighton will ask for Caicedo, not 60 million. I think way more than this. And so again, big signing, big fee. Who's going to be the new owner to decide on this kind of signing? So for Man United, the point is always that one.
Yeah, there's two England players I wanted to ask you about, and one of them is a midfielder, Declan Rice. I mean, he's another one that will surely move this summer. And again, you know, Chelsea just bought Enzo Fernandez, so he's probably a player that Manchester United would be looking at in the summer, and Arsenal as well.
Yes. I expect Declan Rice to go. Honestly, I think this is the case also because he doesn't want to sign in a deal, and so the expectation is for him to have a new opportunity to go. In this case, finally to go in the summer. But again, it's also about the price for Declan Rice. I think is the same situation. Nothing is agreed with Arsenal, with Chelsea, with any club. Many clubs want Declan Rice, including Arsenal, because it's true that they really appreciate the player. But the reality is that everything is 100% open. So I would wait and see what happens. In this one, we have absolutely to wait. But again, it's about how much you want to invest on the midfielder, because I think it's going to be complicated for Man United maybe to sign a player like Osimhen, who could probably cost 140, 130 million euros, and then invest on a midfielder for more than 100 million euros. So that could be a crazy summer, but it depends on the owner. So it's always on the same points, how much they want to invest. This is why it's crucial to have a new owner as soon as possible, and to understand what will change into the board of Manchester United, because let's see who the new owner, what they want to do with the board, if they want new people in. So the process could be very different. Look what happened at Chelsea, for example. In a few months, they changed everything in the structure, from Marina to 5 different people taking care of the club. So this is also an important point.
On the striker market, you mentioned Osimhen there. There's a lot of people in the chat mentioning Osimhen. We know from previous conversations, and you know from being Italian yourself and knowing how Napoli works, when their owner or president is saying we won't take anything less than 140 million euros or whatever it is, they're probably not going to do that. And even if they did, there's a lot of clubs that would like that player. Do you think where Man United need a striker? Where do you think they're? I mean, look, I know you can't say that's where we're going to go. We've had discussions in the past, but I feel that Harry Kane is the player that Man United will probably go for, because he's only got a year left in his contract. Osimhen's going to be very expensive. Where are we on those two things? And do you think there's any other players that could come in, like a Ramos or a Sesko or someone like that, or someone else that maybe Ten Hag likes?
Yes, I think it's not just Osimhen or Kane. Honestly, I think it's an open race for the striker because, for example, my United scouts were following Gonçalo Ramos in the last few games with Benfica, so he's a player they are still following. They're keeping it open. Let's see what happens also with Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus. There are many players who could be on the move in the summer, and so we have to keep it open. Also because I think Kane's situation is going to be complicated because of Tottenham, because Tottenham will fight to keep the player, to offer him a new deal, and to make sure he stays at Tottenham on a long-term deal. So it's not easy to negotiate with Daniel Levy, but it's also not easy to negotiate with Aurelio De Laurentiis, the Napoli president, who wants to fight to keep his stars. Honestly, on Osimhen, the situation is a bit different because now Napoli really don't want to sit with any club, not even with the agents, to negotiate for players to leave or to join the club. For Napoli, it's an historical season. They're going to win the Serie A after Maradona. So imagine it's more than 30 years that they don't win the Serie A title. And so this is why they want to isolate the squad. They're dreaming of something big in the Champions League. So they have no intention to negotiate February, March, April, May. Forget about that. If something will happen with Osimhen, with Man United or any other club, it will be July, I think, July, August. So a very long deal, not something to be resolved very soon. So get ready for a summer of many links for Victor Osimhen. But I think this is why many clubs will wait before making the first move on the strikers market. It's about Man United, it's about Chelsea and many others looking for striker. They're going to wait because they want to make sure to understand what's going to be the price tag for Osimhen, what happens with Harry Kane, and many others. So many clubs will in the market for strikers. I'm sure Manchester United appreciate Osimhen because they were following him in the Frankfurt game in Champions League, also in Napoli games. He's a player they're always following, but as of now, they don't know the price tag. This is the reality. They don't know if maybe 100, 120, 140 is going to be enough to sign Osimhen. They don't know.
Also, the Champions League final is not till June the 10th. So if Napoli are in that, exactly. You're right, it will be very late. One last question. It is also Napoli based because you told us this a couple of months ago. Kim Min-jae has got this release clause for 2 weeks in June.
Yes.
Is he still not signing a contract? Do you think he will sign a contract? Because that's going to be interesting when that opens up.
At the moment, Napoli are still pushing, offering him a new deal, but at the moment it's not agreed yet. And so it's not an easy situation. Napoli are really trying to convince the player. Let's see how the conversation will continue. But I'm also sure that many top clubs are already approaching his agent because they know that this is a very big possibility. I think this is a fantastic center back, probably worth 75 million euros and available for a bit less than 50. So imagine what kind of opportunities on the market. But let's see what the player will decide. I think March and April will be crucial months to understand if he's going to extend the contract and remove the release clause, or if he's going to be available on the market for 2 weeks for 50 million euros. And this is a very big opportunity.
Great. Thanks for popping on, Fabrizio. I know you're a very busy man, but always good to catch up with you, especially after a Manchester United trophy win. Thank you very much for popping on.
Thank you. And then congrats again for the trophy and see you soon.
Ciao. Thanks, Fabrizio. See you in a bit.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. I like that Kim Min-jae deal. I really do. I mean, I don't know whether Man United are looking at it at all, but there's that 2 week period in June where he's available for about £42 million, and there's nothing Napoli can do about it. It's a release clause in his contract. So it will be very interesting to see, not just from a Manchester United point of view, but also from everybody else's. I mean, somebody will pay it. Like he's going to leave Napoli if he doesn't. I mean, basically, he's going to leave Napoli if he doesn't sign that new contract because he's not going to sit there and go, oh, I'm not going to sign a contract, but I'm happy to stay here and let's just see what happens in June. It will be very interesting, but there is plenty of time left. And also, it's Napoli. Like, if he signs a new contract at Napoli, it's not unambitious, is it? They are going to win Serie A, like Fabrizio says, and they are doing very well in the Champions League. I mean, it's not. There's always going to be that arrogance with the Premier League because we're the best league in the world. We pay the best wages, but actually, if you play for Napoli, you could be the best team in the world in June because you can win Serie A and you can win the Champions League. So look, no wonder people are queuing up to buy their players. I think it's interesting what Fabrizio said. Obviously, it's the first time I've been live with you. I did the show with Ben Foster this morning. Check it out on the homepage. I saw Charlie's video this morning as well. I think it's interesting with United. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't trust the Glazers, and when I see them turning up to Carabao Cup game finals and when I see the leaks that they might want to stay, I do get suspicious. I can't be calm about this. I can't go, oh, yeah, definitely they're going to stay. Definitely they're going to go. I can't because I think that, ultimately they're opportunists. They're greedy. They see money and they want it. The reason they're selling United is because the money has dried up. The team doesn't win. The stadium needs rebuilding and the sponsors don't want to sponsor us. Well, we've just started winning trophies again. Sponsors do want to sponsor us. We'll start making money again. And they might go, you know what? This is worth borrowing a little bit more to build a stadium and staying for 17 years. But on the other hand, like Fabrizio said, it's all part of the process. They want 6 billion. The offers were around 4.5 billion. They're trying to knock the price up. Ultimately, I think we're in this middle ground. If they can't get the money they want, they might find a way to stay. If they get the money they want, then they'll probably go. What's your percentage on Glazers leaving, says Umzi? Probably 75% that they'll go. I actually said in the summer, didn't I? I said in the summer, I think they're going to go. And I said, I don't think it's got anything to do with the protests. I think it's totally to do with the stadium. That stadium needs rebuilding, and it will cost over £1 billion to do it. And I think that's the thing that's sinking them. If that stadium didn't need any investment, I think we wouldn't even be up for sale. It's the money they've got to put in, and they like to take money out. So I think that's what's happening with the Glazers. But the most interesting thing from that interview with Fabrizio for me is, and I'm sure it is for you, is that United are. Well, let's be honest, let's be blunt. United's summer transfer window is in peril. It's in peril because we can't plan. And as Fabrizio said there, it's very difficult to plan your summer transfer window when you don't know what your budget is. And we've completely flipped, it was pancake Shroves Tuesday, whatever they call it, last week, wasn't it? And United have flipped the pancake, because last year we were talking to players like a Kanji and a couple of others at this time. Director of football, Richard Arnold, whoever you want to say, they were speaking to agents of players looking for moves this time last year in February, March. But what they were saying is, would you be interested in coming to Manchester United? Yeah, I would. What's the offer? And United were having to say, look, we like you, but we don't know whether we want you because we haven't got a manager, and we won't have a manager till May. So they were sort of lining up players without knowing whether who the manager would be. Obviously, Erik ten Hag came in and said, I don't want those players, I want these players. So it was a very chaotic summer transfer window, because United were planning on players to bring in February, March and April, but they didn't have a manager. This time, we've got the manager, and he knows the players he wants, but he doesn't know the budget he's got. The ideal world is the one that Pep operates in, where he goes, I want these players, and I know I've got a budget. And then you start working on it, probably like Newcastle are. They've got the budget. Hopefully we'll start to get this right at some point, because last summer's transfer window was chaotic, and this one is not being planned properly, because Ten Hag has got this. He's a genius, that. He probably knows the players he wants, but he doesn't know the budget. And what might happen is he might be in the summer in a situation where the new owners say, you've got 200 million to spend. What do you want? Or he might be in a situation where the Glazers still haven't sold the club, and they go, you've got nothing. So, you can say it doesn't really matter, but it does. If the Glazers are still here in the summer, what's his budget? It's not going to be as good as what a new owner is, because a new owner is going to want to spend a load. Or maybe the Glazers will stay and find, and I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not the best situation. Mark, if they get backing, can't they still be done for share price manipulation, says Paul? I don't think so. Because they clearly said the club's up for sale, but they're also looking for investment. So if they get investment, then potentially that's not the case. On players that we might bring in, it's very, very difficult. I think the midfield situation is interesting. Bellingham, we're not going to buy Bellingham unless we get new owners quick. We're already late to jump into that race, and we're not in that race while the Glazers are in charge. So if you want Bellingham, you need these owners in quick. And whether that's going to happen quick, we don't know. De Jong is more settled at Barcelona, so that's probably difficult to do. Casido is probably heading to Arsenal unless we get new owners and jump in there. So the midfield market's very, very difficult. We do need a midfielder, but ultimately you could see a scenario where we just buy Sabitzer for 25 million from Bayern, and because we're going to miss the boat, aren't we? I like Sabitzer, but if we want to compete with the best, you've got to go out there and make big statement signings. Of top quality players. Declan Rice is another one. I know a lot of you wouldn't like him. And on the striker situation, I think the striker situation this summer for Manchester United reflects the situation right now. It so much depends on how much money we've got, and therefore it depends on who the owner is. Because again, if you've got loads of money, maybe you are looking at an Osman, maybe you are looking at a Ramos, maybe you are looking at a Harry Kane. But if you haven't got stability around ownership, then what are you looking at? So I think United's summer transfer window is a long way off. But on the other hand, we're not that far off the March international break. 3 weeks away until the March international. In fact, I'm doing my live show 3 weeks tonight. Can't believe how close it is. And that's in the international break. So 3 weeks' time is the March international break. And as you know, if you've been watching the United stand for a few years and you're part of the community, what happens in the March international break? That's when the summer transfer window kicks off. There's always stories in there. So we're not that far away from, well, you should be planning now, let's be honest. And I think the striker situation is probably the one that's causing Erik ten Hag the most, I wouldn't say stress, but confusion, because it's going to be the most competitive. I mean, Chelsea need a striker for a start. We need a striker. You never know who else is looking for a striker across Europe. So you want to be competitive and you want to be pushing yourself to the front of the queue. But United are sort of like, Ten Hag's there. He knows what he wants. He's in the supermarket. He's ready to fight for it. But he knows if he whacks his card on the contactless pad, it's going to say card rejected. And then Chelsea will just go, bing, we'll have it, because he doesn't know how much money he's got on the card. And that's the problem. And I think that is going to be a problem whilst we have this sale hanging over us. I mean, fantastically, we've got this, I am a bit lightheaded today because, I did have a few last night and I hope everyone else had a good night as well. But, we're back. The one constant we have at the moment is the team. The team is the thing that's given us the hope and the satisfaction through Ten Hag. But next season, I think, look, winners are always planning. I remember Roy Keane saying this. We won the Champions League in '99 and then we didn't win it again in his whole career at United. And every time we got knocked out of the Champions League, he'd always say, maybe we should be going out when we've won the title and buying 3 or 4 top quality players because we're short in the Champions League. We can win the Premier League, but we can't win the Champions League. Maybe we should be building on this. And Manchester United, Ten Hag's obsession will completely be, we've won the Carabao Cup. Let's hope we can win a couple more. Let's hope we can get top 4. Maybe there's a miracle there to win the league. But whatever happens, even if we win the league this year, what are we going to do? Oh, it's a miracle. Thank God. Let's live off that for the next 10 years. We're not Leicester. We're Manchester United. Everybody who's an older fan will know that when Man United win the league, you've got to go and win it again. That's the whole point. Winning it again is what real winners do. So whatever happens this year, big clubs with big winning mentalities have always got to be planning for next year. And at the moment, we're doing fantastically well. But how can Ten Hag plan for next season if we're not in a position to do that? And I don't think we are at the moment. And also, I think that some of these teams next year are going to be ridiculously competitive. Like, I think Liverpool will go again. I think Chelsea will sort it out at some point. Newcastle and Man City have got super wealth. So there's 4 teams there. It only takes 2 of them. In fact, it only takes 1 of them to get it right. And you ain't winning the league. So that's what, we're competitive again. We're definitely competitive again. But as I said, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, and Arsenal, let's not forget them. There's 5 teams there. They'll all strengthen in the summer. It only takes 1 of them to absolutely hit the ground running, and you're not winning the league. So we've got to get ourselves in a position. But ultimately, it's like that, isn't it? We're in the hands of the Glazers, and they it's nothing new. They're holding this club back. I want to see the momentum and genius of Ten Hag building into next season, because whatever we do this year, we're just going to be sat there open mouth going, how's he done that in a year? But I think the brilliance of Ten Hag will be what he does year after year after year after year. And ultimately, we've got no power in this, but what we do need is clarity and speed around the future of this football club. And the future of this football club has to be the removal of the Glazers. We know that. 100% we have to do that. There is no Twitch today, no Corey, sorry. I'm hoping to get it back tomorrow, but probably Wednesday. I've got a few things going on that's sort of preventing me from really doing Twitch at the moment, which is a shame because I'm eager to do it, but we'll build it up when it's back. Don't worry about that because it's an important part of the season for that. I will be back at 8 o'clock though, because we've got, I think I'm going to preview West Ham tonight. I mean, this is it. I think you see Ten Hag as well. I don't know why I keep doing this. It's because I haven't got any graphics around me, so I can just feel like I can just spread out, and there's no green screen that's going to cut me off. So it's just, but yeah, did you see this last night? I mean, I don't know what I think about this. It's really well worth watching the video I did with Ben Foster, by the way. Watch the video I did with Ben Foster because we got more into the Carabao Cup and what next. So I don't want to tread over old ground because it was a really good short video with him. But basically, on the plane at 10 o'clock last night, back to Manchester and then back to work today. Those players, the celebration, you saw it. It was basically the one on the pitch. There's no getting pissed or anything like that. Ike, thank you very much for the super chat. Glad to see you back. It worked. Good stuff. But that's what it is. And, in a way, it makes me feel inspired and happy because basically FA Cup on Wednesday, Liverpool on Sunday, this team will be hungry to win, but they also need to be hungry for that celebration. And your celebration's coming at the end of the season. How many trophies can you win now? And that's what these players have got. I mean, I just can't wait for the Liverpool game on Sunday. I'm buzzing for that. I cannot wait. I'm not saying we're going to win, But I think if we do go there and win, the title race becomes ridiculous. Like, you know, we've played Man City and Arsenal twice. We'll have played Liverpool twice. If we win that game, I know Arsenal have got a points gap, but I just think we're ready there to pounce. But you've got to go there and win. And obviously West Ham on Wednesday, you win that game. You're into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and then you know, on our day we know we can beat anyone. So yeah, it's massively exciting, and I already feel that as a Manchester United fan, you should never set your standard. You should set a standard, and then when you hit it, you go again. That's what Man United's all about. So, as I say, I've heard a few people say, no, Goldbridge is just happy with the cup and top four. You know, he said that's what he's... No, I haven't said that. I said at the start of the season, if you'd offered me a top four and a trophy, I'd have bit your hand off, because I just didn't think that was possible based on where we were at the end of last season. It's only February. I believe we've got top four, and we've certainly got a trophy. I'd be disappointed if we didn't, you know, get into a title race or win a Europa League or win an FA Cup. But if I could have one more thing, obviously, realistically, I don't think the Premier League is realistic at this moment in time. The one I would like to win is the Europa League. I'd like the FA Cup, but I'd like to win the Europa League, because I think that's it's a real... I'm trying to think of the word. It's a real assessment of Erik ten Hag's ability as a manager. If he can win a domestic trophy, yeah. If he can get top four, yeah. But to go and win a European competition, I just think that shows a different side to a coach, their ability to mix it up against different styles. And we saw that against Barcelona. So I think the Europa League for me would be the priority now out of all the trophies we've got left, other than the Premier League, which I think is still a little bit of a, you know, bit of a dream, but you know, you got a dream. Ten Hag said himself, "There's no time for laziness," says and Mark, would you loan Ahmad back to Sunderland next season? Says Danny. No, I think you know, the pre-season in America, these things are where you look at these players and decide what you're going to do for the season ahead. I'm sure we will see some players going out on loan. Surely Alanga will go out on loan next season. Maybe Palestri will go out on loan. But you never know with Ahmad. He might find himself part of the plans. He might get a Premier League loan, because to be honest with you, I thought Garner at Forest should have gone on loan to a Premier League club and not been sold. So with Ahmad, maybe next season it's a Premier League loan. I'll tell you what, I don't want Ahmad to just sit on the bench next season. I'd love to see Ahmad on loan at Aston Villa or someone like that. You know, I think the Premier League's brilliant anyway, and I watch a lot of it, but I'd love to see Ahmad playing in the Prem. Namon says, I absolutely agree with you. Premier League is possible, but not very comfortable. So I think we have a chance for a thirple than a quadruple. Hey, mate, if we can win the FA Cup and the Europa League, I would be absolutely ecstatic. And I know people want to win the Premier League, but I feel that the Premier League is not really what we're meant to be winning at the moment. You can't say we can't win it. You know, it's almost the Leicester, isn't it, if we do it? But I think we can win the Europa League, and I think we can win the FA Cup, and I think they're things that are in our hands. I think the Premier League is not in our hands, is it? If we win every single game, maybe it is possible, but you still need Man City and Arsenal to choke a little bit. But I think I'd love to see as Garner's just disappeared a bit. He ain't got no... I tell you what, he ain't got no chance. He's got no chance under Dyche. What would I want a ball-playing midfielder for? I don't need any culture in my midfield. Do I look like I like Iniesta? I want Kevin Nolan back. I want Mark Noble. I don't want Xavi. I don't want Garner, and I don't want anyone. I don't want ballers in my midfield. I want balls. Balls of steel, sponsored by Manscaped. If I could play Tarkovsky in there, I would. But I'd like a bit of wood in there as well. But yeah, that's why Garner's fell off a cliff. He's got no chance of playing under someone like Sean Dyche, has he? I mean, he's completely not a Sean Dyche player. And I like Sean Dyche, but he does not want a player like Garner in his midfield. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. We're back at 8 o'clock. We'll be previewing the West Ham game and talking all the latest Manchester United news. Don't forget to watch the video I did with Ben Foster. It's on the homepage. It's a cracker. If you want to just stay in the buzz of winning the Carabao Cup, go and give it a watch. But I'll speak to you a little bit later. Thanks everyone for watching. Apologies I can't do Twitch today for anyone who likes that. I really wish I could. But I can't. So honesty is the best way forward, and we'll be back soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.